That's recording. You gotta be.
I got it. The stages of listening. Stage 1, receiving. Stage 2, understanding. Stage 3, remembering. Stage 4, evaluating. And Stage 5, responding to oral messages. As you'll see from the following discussion, listening involves a collection of skills that work together at each of these 5 stages. Listening can go wrong at any stage, but by the same token, you can enhance your listening abilities by strengthening the skills needed for each step of the process. All 5 stages overlap. When you listen, you're performing all 5 stages at essentially the same time. For example, when listening in a conversation, you're not only processing what you hear for understanding, but you are also putting it into memory storage, critically evaluating what was said and responding.
Step 1. Receiving. Unlike listening, hearing begins and ends with the first stage, receiving. Hearing is something that just happens when you're within earshot of auditory stimuli. Listening is quite different. Listening begins but does not end with receiving the message the speaker sends. In listening, you receive the verbal message and the nonverbal message. Not only the words, but the gestures, facial expression, variation in volume, and lots more.
Understanding occurs when you learn what the speaker means, when the meaning is essentially the same as the speaker sent. Understanding includes both the thought that are expressed in the emotional tone that accompanies them. For example, the urgency or the joy or the sorrow expressed in the message.
Stage 3. Remembering. Messages that you receive and understand need to be remembered for at least some period of time. What you remember is not actually what was said, but what you recall. Memory is reconstructive, not reproductive. In other words, you don't simply reproduce your memory of what the speaker said. Rather, as noted in the discussion of perception on Chapter 4, you reconstruct the message you hear into a system that makes sense to you. Your goal must be to reproduce the message that you hear in the most accurate way possible.
Evaluating. Stage 4. Evaluating consists of judging messages in some way. At times you may try to evaluate the speaker's underlying intention without awareness. For example,
Hey, did you hear I got a promotion?
you may try to judge his intention. Does he want you to use your influence with the president? Is he preoccupied with his accomplishments and thus telling everyone? Is he looking for a pat on the back? Generally, if you know the person well, you'll be able to identify the intention and therefore be able to respond appropriately. Congratulations.
Stage 5. Responding. Responses take place in 2 phases. Phase 1, responding that occurs while the speaker is talking, and Phase 2, responding that occurs after the speaker has stopped. Responses are feedback, information that you send back to the speaker that tells you how you feel about their message. Responses made while the speaker is talking should be supportive and should acknowledge that you are listening. Such responses include what researchers in nonverbal communication call back-channel cues and may serve the following function.